This is docket 9813 CE100. It's the application for a CPCN for Silver Maple Solar LLC. My name is Michael Newmark, the Administrative Law Judge for the PSC, and we are connected through Zoom with the parties and commission staff in attendance. We should probably just start with appearances, and I'm going to put up the service list on the screen. And we can, while we're making appearances, we can also check our list to make sure we have it. People stated we have the representatives correctly appearing on that list. So why don't we start with Clean Wisconsin, who's appearing on behalf of Clean?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This is Brett Cordy on behalf of Clean Wisconsin, and our service list looks correct. Thank you.
Perfect, great. All right, so next on the list alphabetically, it's Peniel Welsh Chapel Association. Anyone connected to us from that organization? Doesn't look like it. Okay, so I have a Carol Lee Schultz had intervened on the behalf of the association. We also have commission staff.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Zachary Peters appearing on behalf of the commission, and appearing along with me is Stephanie Bedford.
Okay, thanks. Renew Wisconsin.
Good afternoon. This is Michael Vickerman appearing on behalf of Renew Wisconsin.
Okay, Silver Maple Solar.
Good afternoon. This is Peter Garden of Reinhardt Berner on behalf of Silver Maple Solar, the applicant. Jess, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Also appearing, Jess Polakowski.
All right, I need to draw straws there. And Town of Eldorado and Town of, is it Nekimi?
It's Town of Nekimi. Yep. This is Matt Parmentier from the Dempsey Law Firm, appearing on behalf of the towns for the time being. And when the time's right, we can talk a little more about that.
Okay, yes, perfect, great. Yes, I was bound to get that wrong. I didn't use my mispronouncer website this time. I hope you all know about that. All right, so I have our pre-hearing conference. Usual items we go through here are the parties' issues schedule, facilitating matters. And yes, we did have that misidentified our applicant on this document, so it should be Silver Maple Solar. So they're definitely the applicant here. Interveners are listed correctly. I didn't receive any responses to those intervention requests, so I'm assuming no objections to the interveners. Okay, not hearing anything now.
That is correct.
Okay, great. And we will need to contact the Chapel Association because as a party, we usually do make some accommodations for a pro se applicant if that's the case here, but they'll need to certainly abide by the schedule and issues we set here today. In terms of filing requirements, we can work with them, get them up to speed, but hopefully they'll have the capability of participating the way we expect them to. Issues are standard issue. Any comments about that? No. And schedule. So let's start with the applicant first, just getting any comments on the schedule.
Your Honor, Jess Polakowski. The only question that I had was typically in your orders, I see the offered evidence list coming before the briefs are due, as well as the transcripts. And I didn't see that here and just wanted to raise that.
Okay, I'm just, maybe I'm misunderstanding. What's the offered evidence list that goes on the schedule?
So, typically it's just described in your orders as offered evidence other, and then exhibits offered and received at hearing. And we get that from you at that time. Right. So usually in the proposed schedule, I've done it a complete schedule sometimes. So but essentially these are the ones that are sort of debatable.
the other items on the list sort of just are there for convenience, but the schedule is set by operation of the facilitating matters order. So those other evidence items are 3 days after the last day of the party hearing session. So just by operation of the facilitating matters order, it's set in at that date. And I add it to the list so people don't forget, but
Sure.
so yeah, so that's, I didn't want to, sorry to cause confusion there by not putting them in. I think I was just trying to save time.
And that is also true of the transcripts, Your Honor?
Yes, transcript.
Okay.
So you'll just follow the schedule in the facilitating matters order, unless there's some reason that we want to change that schedule, but it's 3 days after the draft is due, what's due the proposed corrections, then 2 days after the proposed, 2 days after that deadline, that 3 days, then there's another 2 days for filing objections to the proposed corrections.
Got it. Otherwise, I had no issue with the schedule, Your Honor. I think it looks good.
All right. How about, we'll just go through our list here, but for Clean Wisconsin, any issues with the schedule?
Nothing from our end, Your Honor.
Okay. And let's take Renew. Yeah, they're next on the list. Any issues with that?
I have no proposed changes to offer regarding the schedule.
Okay, and how about the towns? Do you want to?
Yes, schedule looks fine to me. I personally will be submitting my a withdrawal within the next, I think, few days here. I got a medical diagnosis, cancer diagnosis, and I'm 2 weeks into about 30 of chemotherapy. I'm learning my limitations. And so the schedule looks okay to me. If I understand it correctly, my successor, if there's a problem with the schedule, can request a modification if that's necessary. Is that correct?
It's always the case that once the schedule is set, I'll entertain a motion to modify the schedule. So yes, I mean, that's a certainly valid reason for that here, but in terms of what any successor you have to you needs in terms of time, we'll have to debate that with that person and the parties present. So yeah, well, it's definitely part of the process to receive requests to modify the schedule. There won't be that much leeway, unfortunately, because of the deadline to issue an order in the case. There's some flexibility though, and just so we know the process, there's a process that's outlined in the facilitating matters order whereby changes that are stipulated by all parties and staff go into effect pretty much instantaneously. I still have an opportunity to reject that if within a set number of days, and we can then go to a status conference. But generally speaking, scheduling changes that everyone agrees to just go into effect. So just or maybe inform your successor about that process, just because it makes it easier for everyone. But yeah, so and definitely sorry to hear the situation. I'm glad we could talk about it today and just get that hopefully relieve your clients from any stress over that. But we don't want to make things more complicated than we need to, so we can definitely hear any scheduling changes that'll be necessary
Okay.
for a fair process.
I do believe I have someone, and so I think they will be involved within the next couple of weeks.
Okay, perfect.
Hmm.
So there would be, so depending on the town's position, the direct evidence, there's two dates provided for direct. So the first one, July 11th for the applicant and parties generally in support of the project. I'm not sure where the town stands on that, but in terms of, but it's possible that you would have till August 15th direct for the remaining parties and commission staff. So if the town is generally not in support of the project, I think they would fall under the later direct deadline. So
I think they would consider themselves remaining parties. I think
Okay.
they would call themselves.
And I guess I'm assuming Clean and Renew are generally in support of the project. Is that correct?
That's
That-
correct, Your Honor.
That is correct.
Okay, great. All right. So I did attach the facilitating matters order. It was also sort of a heads up for our new party, the Chapel Association. Give them a little bit of warning about what participation looks like here. And I don't know if there are any particular questions about that. Now's the time to ask. Nothing, okay. We are in kind of a transition period on this document. You'll see that the one that we're using in this case, I believe we have, this one's dated April 25th. We do have a subsequent version that came out after the notice issued. I can simply honor this one since you had a chance to preview it. There's some slight changes to the newest version. Since you didn't have the opportunity to look at it though, I don't know if we want to go with that. I think that there are some changes that relate to hyperlinks and citing extra record evidence that's in the new version. But I think we'll wait for the next case to put those in place. I don't think it's fair to just throw that at you right now. So just be warned for the next case. You'll be seeing something a little different. But whichever one but since we'll order this version in this case, that'll be the one we use, just so you're not confused if you see something dated later. Those changes won't be in effect for this case. So I don't know if there's much else to review at this point. Any other comments, questions? All right, so just while on the record, I'm just going to ask the commission attorneys to contact the Chapel Association, just get them up to speed, make sure they're receiving these things, and see if they, I mean, I don't know if we've contacted them yet, but I mean, just to give them sort of a description of the party process versus the public process, just so they understand their choices there. If they feel overwhelmed about participating as a party or don't have the, lack the resources to do that, well, there's always intervener compensation that's available. But so just in general, you know what I'm talking about. Give them the instructions in terms of the differences in participation, and see if they are still interested in remaining a party in the case, and that they'll be subject to the scheduling issues, and with we can give them some assistance with the facilitating matters, with filing and refiling and getting them up to speed with that process. But those will be our expectations. So
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, we can adjourn the pre-hearing conference. So thanks very much for joining us, and I'm glad we got to meet again. So take care, everybody.